It's a joy to be here with everyone. And when I saw the list of potential topics, this one on getting rid of mental toxins just jumped out at me, and it's a very good topic. And it's something that's close to all of us. I mean, let's face it, we all have mental toxins, and what we're talking about is doubt, worry, anxiety, negativity, irritation, desires, all the things that are not our nature. And so it's just very important for us to learn how to work through this. So as we get ready to learn more about this, let's begin with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, beloved Guru, Paramhansa Yogananda ji, saints of all religions, we humbly bow at thy feet. Divine Mother, we are your children. We are made in thy image of perfect love, of complete freedom. Help us to realize that and overcome all limitations. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So this topic, I don't think anyone is free from mental toxins. If we were, we would be free in God. And like I was saying, these are all the different worries and limitations. Self-doubt is a big one. Anxiety, fear, all these things. It just, they have a real weight. They have a seeming reality, even though they have no reality at all. I learned a great lesson a few years ago. I had a really bad fall, and I hit my head on a stone, the back of my head, and it was, there was some brain injury there, and the symptoms and the issues were for at least 2 years I had problems, but the first 6 months it was very extreme, and it was almost like my brain was just totally misfiring. I was dizzy all the time and nauseous, and just, it was a very strange time because my brain wasn't functioning. And one of the things that really was the most noticeable is that it was almost like all the wires were crossed and all these completely irrational thoughts were coming into my head. Fears, anxieties, all these kinds of things, but exaggerated many, many times. And even to the point where I was thinking of making decisions in my life that when I looked at it, it was completely irrational and just, you could say delusional. And what I realized, and it was a good realization, and it's even helped me to this day, and even when my brain has healed, but it was that I cannot trust my own thoughts. And just think about it, I cannot trust my own thoughts. And I think this is still true to an extent. When we have our own thoughts, they tend to be of limitation. When we're in tune with God, with the Guru, these are inspired thoughts, thoughts of freedom, thoughts of positivity. And so just because we're thinking something and it seems to be so rational, makes so much sense, question it, because especially if the energy is pulling down. Swamiji says that we can tell when something is true and when we are in truth and what we're saying and doing is true, because we should feel a rising, an expansion of the energy going up the spine to the spiritual eye. And when thoughts, actions, words are not true, there's a heaviness, and anxiety has a heaviness. It has a contractiveness rather than expansion, and it has a downpulling energy. And so this is something just not to get caught up in our thoughts too much. Yogananda, he said that reason follows feeling, and that the feelings of the heart is really what generates all of these problems when we have mental toxins, because it really comes from the heart. And this is something that I found as the solution to that period that I was going through, is that at a certain point, when I realized that, okay, these thoughts that I am having, it wasn't just random thoughts that came through and went away. They felt like my thoughts, and like I was coming up with these great realizations that were very, very delusional. But what I understood, and really what the way out was for me, was to understand that reason follows feeling, and that I had to tune in to my heart, and that I had to go back to the center of the heart. And when I got still in my feeling, doing some Hong Sa and some, tuning into the Guru, even though the thoughts were still, the wires were still crossed up there in the brain, when the heart was calm, I knew that I could trust that feeling in the heart, and it was real. It was way more real than my thoughts, was that calmness in the heart. And so whenever those thoughts would come up, I would go to my heart center. And there was months when I didn't really properly sleep all night ever. Just these thoughts were just going through the whole time, all night long. But if I went to my heart, that was the solution. And I find that to this day, because following that period, we came into COVID, and just, a lot of more responsibilities for me, which comes with worry and thinking about it. Oh, what am I going to do? Can I do this? Am I capable of doing this? But I found even to this day that first calming the agitated feelings of the heart, and then going to that inspired heart center, where really that is where divine perception is. That's where divine truth is. I share this often, but when Yogananda went into samadhi, he said that I cognized the empyrean, the universe, from a point of intuitive perception in my heart. And that's where truth lies, is in the heart. That's where perception of truth lies, is from the heart. And so we can perceive from the heart as much as we can perceive from the brain. And we don't really perceive from the brain because it's influenced so much by agitated feeling, especially, which is what causes anxiety and all these other toxins that we're talking about. So when we are in those states of worry, anger, upset with someone, fear of the future, all these things, work with calming the feelings of the heart. And Hong Sa, I'm almost a fanatic. The word fan, I'm a fan of Hong Sa. The word fan originates from fanatic. So someone who's like a fan of a sports team, you see them screaming and painting their face and jumping up and down. They're a fan because they're fanatical about that sport. I'm a fan of Hong Sa because I've seen the power that it has to help us overcome agitated feeling and all these mental toxins that we're talking about that really can be controlled by calming the heart. And especially during the COVID time, and and we moved our whole monastery right in the middle of the pandemic, from one part of India to another, and just there was a lot of stress during that time. It was a right action what we did, but yeah, I still worry about responsibilities, as we all do, raising a family, our business, health, all these things, and people who we love, who we have concerns about. But again, I've just found that I would do more Hong Sa, and I still do more Hong Sa to this day as a result of this. Around that time, we did an experiment a few times with some of our groups, and I think with our group in Mumbai, where we practiced Hong Sa for 2 hours straight, nonstop, 2 hours of Hong Sa. It was based on something Master said. He said, if you want to be a master in this life, practice 2 hours of Hong Sa every day. And someone asked Swamiji one time, so can I just do like 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and add it all up to 2 hours? And his answer was, yeah, you could. But to me, that's a strong no. That's not the best way to do it. Yeah, you could, theoretically. But there was something, why did Master say 2 hours? And so just proof of concept, I decided, okay, let's do Hong Sa for 2 hours straight. It's a crazy idea. When we think of Kriya and this and that, and Hong Sa is kind of like the the beginner's technique that we start our meditation with. But I found from doing Hong Sa for 2 hours that the place, the center in the heart that I was able to get to was much deeper and just more vivid and obvious in a way. And it was a point of stillness that to this day, I find it easier to find that point of stillness during stressful times. And I don't have to do Hong Sa for 2 hours straight. And I still do more Hong Sa. And at times, if my mind is going haywire because of worries or responsibilities, I'll do a lot of Hong Sa in my meditation practice. And I find that it's really the answer to really calming the agitated feelings of the heart. Patanjali defined yoga as yoga's chitta vritti in the road. Yoga is the neutralizing, the calming of this agitated feeling, these chitta vrittis, which really are worries. All these mental toxins are just karmas from the past that we've generated. And it creates an energy, a whirlpool of energy that our mind kind of revolves around this fear or this person or this issue. And those are just vrittis. And Swamiji called them chitta vrittis because the energy of that vritti, that vortex, is feeling based. It's based on worry or anger or desire or attachment and all these things. So practice this and try this during times of anxiety and worry, because it's a mental toxin. It's not just something that we can just flush out by drinking some wheatgrass juice or something like that. I wish it was that easy, but it can be done with these practices that our gurus have given us. And work with Hong Sa. Just when we have fear and anxiety, remember, we can't always trust our own thoughts. I mean, sometimes when we are in tune with God and the Guru and we have an idea and a thought, we can trust when it comes from inspiration. But when it's that mental churning of all these toxins, don't trust those things. During the worst of my time that I was going through, I read something that someone said that was really helpful. When you start having like self-doubt or irrational thoughts about yourself or other people or fears of something that might happen, this person said, ask yourself, who said that? Who said that? And you realize that, okay, I'm just making that up in my mind. No one said that. I'm just imagining it. And so we do that a lot with our minds. We really do. It's surprising how often we do that. Someone looks at us the wrong way and he's a friend and we think, oh my God, he's mad with me, or just, we really make up a lot of things. So just, again, the answer is God. It's coming back to calming those waves of feeling of the heart and then lifting them up and offering that calm feeling to God in deep, deep devotional practice, deep devotional kriya. And then we find that this divine feeling, rather than the agitated feeling, when this divine feeling is offered upwards, then our mind is cleared. Then our mind is cleaned of those toxins by this divine wash rising up the spine and this divine love that really, that is the answer to these thoughts and this irrational stuff that goes on in our brains. So let's practice that. And let's close with a healing prayer for the world. This world needs so much healing. There's so much violence and anger and fighting and greed, all these things, a lot of toxins in this world. And again, the answer is the love of Divine Mother. And our part as disciples is to act as instruments for that love, to sort of wash the toxins of the world away, especially the human element of those toxins. So let's visualize this world bathed in Divine Mother's healing grace and love. And let's all of us act as instruments. She needs her hands and feet and her hands rubbing together and chanting Om to act as instruments for that love to flow through into this world. And let's rub the left forearm with the right hand, magnetizing the arm, and right forearm with the left hand. And let's pray, Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, minds, and souls. Om. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.